How you guys doing? We're gonna shoot a beer into space today.
Say they contacted the makers of Natty Light.
They were like, hell yeah.
Do I smell a rat? Perhaps a guerrilla viral marketing campaign?
This is a pretty weird story. Earlier this month, 2 men successfully launched a can of beer into space. I guess that's why one astronaut was like, Houston, I love you, man.
So is that physical or digital? Or does it get in that weird, scary area of content? We'll come back to that. First, more introduction. My name is Scott Burns. I started my career in Chicago at an agency called Upshot, working on Microsoft, Diageo, and Discover Card business. And I now work at Switch for the last 10 years. We're fortunate to work with some great clients like Anheuser-Busch, Coca-Cola, Muscle Milk, FedEx, and Maui Jim. When we talk to clients, when we talk to new clients and our existing, we talk about living at the crossroads of ideas and action. We want to be a place where we are creating ideas or taking other ideas and translating them into action, because only then, when those ideas and the action are interdependent, that's the only time we can really deliver greatness, and that's what we try to do for our clients every day. So as we talked earlier, and the question came up, digital versus physical. And that's really not the question, because the smartest brands in the world aren't thinking that way. Of course, we do hear a lot of digital first. You know, we're a digital first agency, or we're digital first thinking. But the reality is that that's just a spiel. That's like saying you're integrated or you're full service. The best brands and the best companies in the world today are thinking people first. They're thinking about the consumer, because the consumer in today's world is so volatile. Think about it. The way you are at 6 a.m. when you wake up is so different than the way you are at noon versus 4 or 5 o'clock at happy hour versus 6, 7 o'clock at night when you're going down to bed. Your needs, your wants, your desires, the way you think, your context changes. And for today's marketers, we have to change with them, right? Because being consistent doesn't matter. You have to be relevant. And being relevant is the most important thing we can do as marketers. And you know what's great at being relevant? Experiential. Experiential to be there at the right time, at the right moment, and engaging consumers when their minds are changing, when their perceptions are changing, when the context of our message is changing. That doesn't mean that we can't engage digital. I had a conversation with a fellow who oversees all our large-scale business meeting event work that we do. And this was probably 2 or 3 years ago. And he said, in 5 years, isn't everything going to be digital? We look at what Cisco's doing and taking business meetings and events and just making it an online experience. And I said, no. Experiential is never going away. I mean, look at sports, look at theater, look at music, look at all those things that we are all attracted to. So that physical experience is never going away. But what is happening is digital now is in everything. But it's only a part of it. It's part of the channel. It's part of the network. And because when you bring physical and digital together, you can create that ultimate connection. I use this quote all the time when I give presentations both to clients and at things like this. It comes from Italian journalist Italo Calvino, and he said, every experience is unrepeatable. Just think about that. Think about the power. Think about it right now. Your time is extremely valuable. And the fact that you're sharing it with me, with us, with each other, that's massive. And as marketers, the more we can bring value to that moment, capture that moment, and then use things like digital and social to amplify it, we become smarter, and our brands and our clients win. But how do you figure that out? I'd be lying just to tell you that I've always gotten it right, or that we always get it right. But we started at Switch with a lot of questions. And we actually created this formula guide between physical and digital. It's actually something you guys can go online and download after this. And add your own questions, build your own guide to help you. But we started asking a ton of questions on what we're going to do. The first question is, what is our sphere of influence? Like, what are we really trying to change? Digital and traditional media are great for reach. And we will never, as experiential marketers, as event marketers, be able to play in the sphere of cost per point, when we start looking at return on investment. What we can talk about is cost per advocate. Advocacy is huge. And I know there's a gentleman here later on who's going to talk about millennials and their behavior, but for us as experiential marketers, this is huge. I mean, this stat alone, millennials are 5 times more likely to be influenced by word of mouth than advertising. Think about that. Think about who we're trying to reach. Moreover, when we pull off these events, over 50% of people tell 4 more people about a positive experience. They don't say it's about a positive Facebook post or a positive tweet or a positive Instagram. It's about a positive experience, and they're sharing that. And you link that back with the math about, I'm not great at math, but link that back to the, 5 times more likely to share. We start talking about a powerful, powerful marketing message. Now at Switch, this is a little chest pumping, we have a tool that measures that. And I think one thing that we have to do as an industry is get on top of measuring what we deliver. This is something we created called SMART. It's a real-time dashboard for managing events, which is very commonplace right now. But what we also are able to do is overlay this with Crimson Hexagon data that we use to manage and monitor social conversations. We can also plug this directly into any open API, meaning if your clients are working on SAP or some other database where we're taking data cap information, social information, event information, plugging it all in one place where we're capturing it. Because at the end of the day, we're all here to make money. I mean, we can all talk about the experience and happiness, but we all like things. We like cars, we like to take vacations, we like the homes we live in. So we're in the business of making money, and until we can monetize all that positive vibe about our experiences, we're going to be continually fighting a battle, an uphill battle against digital and traditional marketers. For some great examples of ways and success stories, this is a program we did with Dickies, and yes, that is me. You guys all know if you're event marketers, sometimes you just got to jump in and help out. Dickies wanted us to get word out about their pants. Their pants have a lifetime guarantee, which is an awesome attribute, but people didn't know that. And we had to get that, we had to put their pants to the test. So instead of just showcasing them, we made people use them. And we did tug of war with pants. We put them in a cage with weed whackers and saws and chains. And if they put a hole in the pants, they got a free pair. But what they also got was a coded coupon. We were able to drive over $250,000 worth of revenue to their e-com site in the first 3 events. And that result was so strong, they actually had to stop it for a while because they couldn't keep up with the demand. With FedEx, they're a great client. This is a B2B experience where we were introducing their new electronic truck. This was going to their customers. And there was such great demand about bringing it. We used social and digital to map it and get people bringing it to their site, but the experience itself, they wanted to feel it. They wanted to touch it. They wanted to know that these trucks were just as viable, just as durable, just as reliable as their old trucks. And this has caused them to ramp up production. They built 6, right? It's kind of a joke, right? FedEx built 6 electric trucks, go Earth. But they're going to, because of this experience, because we put this in the hands of their customers, they've ramped up production and they're hoping to roll out over 250 of these in the next 3 years. Purchase intent. So we get back to talking about what we can provide and what we're going to do. We know in those stories like that, with the purchase intent went from 11% to 50% following branded events. This is a lot of work we do with code. We do a lot of data cap, and this is a huge asset, a huge thing we want to put together as event marketers of what we can do and how we can deliver ROI against these events. Talk more about the technology. Does the technology relate to the brand's personality or story? Are we here for disruption? Are we using what we're doing for amplification? And I think, because we work in a physical space, we work in things where we're dealing with Wi-Fi, with being outdoors. Does it make sense? Will it actually hinder the experience if we try to force a bunch of digital on it? Live Nation did an awesome research project that they published to some of our partners, including us, who do a lot of work with them, that said 40% of all attendees use Facebook during a concert to share their experience. So if this is what's going on, why would me, as a marketer, advise my brand to create some sort of social experience around this when we know they're already doing it? Why not invest into the event, invest into the experience, and let that native behavior take hold? We do, every year, we participate in Times Square. We actually do all the content on Budweiser's Times Square billboard. And it's a huge challenge, right? Crazy space, crazy rules, crazy regulations. But you'd be surprised at how much these consumers are already doing the things as marketers you want them to do. So we keep our activations extremely simple and basic, mainly because they're already doing what we want them to do. All it takes is a little shove, a little nudge. So we're not investing in apps in technology that can fail and actually deliver a poor experience. We're investing in the experience, the thing we know that they want and that they are going to remember. On the flip, we've had some really success taking digital products and bringing them into the physical world. This is our client, Elsevier. They are like Google for doctors. They have a huge database. They own LexisNexis, if that means anything to you. But they weren't getting any traction because the buyers were different than the users. Plus, you're dealing with doctors who think they're the smartest people in the world, and they don't need the internet because, of course, they know everything. But what we did is instead of hitting up with more emails and more coupons and more free trials, we actually brought the digital experience into the physical world and took this experience to hospitals. And we were getting average engagement with doctors of like 10 to 12 minutes, bringing them outside so they could actually touch the technology. Now, it took a lot of training because we had to have ambassadors on the ground who could talk with doctors and didn't feel like they were completely BSing. But it's been a revolution to the point where now Elsevier, fortunately for some people, have fired their sales staff and replaced it with this traveling experience. Another great client of ours is Lionforge Digital Comics. Digital comics are huge. It's where Marvel and all those people are going. Lionforge is a cool company. They actually bought the licenses to cool 80s properties like Seawolf and Saved by the Bell and Knight Rider. But they knew they couldn't stand out doing just digital stuff in the world of Comic-Con. So we brought to life a very quick turn physical experience because that's what it took to break through. That physical, bringing to life that token, that archive, that artifact is what that comic book person needed, that comic book fan wanted, and we had to bring that to life. Next, we do a lot of research, or I should say we're getting better at doing a lot of research. And we want to know, before we get into deciding how much, what's the balance between physical and digital is, will our audience engage? So you got to do your homework. We were working with an energy drink brand who wanted to do something at Tough Mudder. And they really wanted to be social and digital and all that stuff. And all we had to do was show them this picture and say, where's that guy's phone? Right? Where's his smartphone? It's in his car with all this stuff after the event has happened. So why would you want to talk digital and social during a period where these guys are unplugging? They're doing this event to get away from that device. Why invest in that? Why not give them something physical, something they can touch? BioWare Energy is a great client of ours, and we do a lot of marathons, runs, physical activities. But for them, the digital aspect was informative. Men, sorry guys, but we're easy. We'll drink anything, right? Power, drink. Women want to know what's going into the product. Women want to know that things that are in there are all natural. Why the ingredients in a 5-hour energy look really, really scary? They're all just fruit and vegetable extracts. They're just crazy names for the stuff that we eat anyway. But we used a physical space with gaming and digital technology to inform, educate, and entertain. Because that is the way that we wanted to impart the message. It wasn't going to be enough just to give them a sample, but we also couldn't just send them emails. They didn't believe an ad. They needed to see it, feel it, taste it, and learn. Muscle Milk is a client of ours, and they're great, but they are highly focused on performance, which means that emails, traditional media, digital media, ads, Facebook, it don't matter. It has to be relevant. It has to be in the now. It has to be when guys, people are working out, when they need that quick recovery. We're there right then with the product, with a sample, putting it in their hands, getting them to taste it, and then eventually driving them to sales. That relevancy, that hyper-relevancy is so, so important. Our biggest client is Anheuser-Busch. I'm going to show you guys a video here in a second about a property that we just created and rolled out, but we were challenged to help them with their quality perception. Budweiser, in the day of craft beer, has a quality issue. People think it's made by robots and computers, and really it's not. All beer is made the same way. Some of it's just made in bigger batches. But we really wanted to create a visceral experience, something to get people to taste and touch and smell the beer. So I'm going to play this video.
When Budweiser asked us to design and create a mobile brewery, our first concern was authenticity. Budweiser's been brewing beer the same way for over 100 years, and that's not going to change just because we had to put it on wheels. Honoring the craftsmanship, quality, and details would be paramount. But our second concern was, how do we take an experience that exists here and bring it to life in here?
You thought you'd set the bar, I never try to work it out. We just lit the fire, and now you wanna put it out. You gave it all you got, and what you got is not a lot. Why don't you hand it over? Time is up, you've had your shot. Together once again, disasters in the end, it's like a default. Default. You thought you made the grade, all you made would start to fade. We threw it in the fire, it's better that it not be made. You thought you made the grade, all you made would start to fade. We threw it in the fire, it's better that it not be made. You just run together, didn't seem to have the heart. Wheels are coming off now, knew that it would fall apart. Take one for the team, you're a cog in the machine, it's like a default.
That just launched in the fall, and it was so successful, we're building 2 more to put on the road. This thing's blinking at me, so I'm going to speed this up. So probably the biggest thing with understanding physical and digital is using digital to amplify. It's a common trend. It's probably something that isn't going to surprise or shock any of you. But doing it right, doing it correct, are tough. The experience still has to be awesome. It has to have meaning. When we sampled Budweiser and launched their 4th of July, their flag can, and we sent messages and videos to the military, it was personal. We made sure that that engagement was less about the beer and more about people's connection and honoring our heroes overseas. I talk about what we do in Times Square. We're taking something existing, something easy, the propensity for people to share, the current trend of, I guess, narcissism, where you're taking the selfies. But we give them an easy way to take that event and make it live longer in a huge, massive way. And it dials us back to the video that I showed about Natural Light. That program, that attempt to drive engagement, it was a perfect blend of physical and digital, right? To produce that, to get all that done, about $25,000. We had over 20 million earned media mentions and hits. That didn't include what happened on social, right? It's a perfect match of understanding your audience, understanding the relevance of where they're going to engage, how they want to engage, and what you're trying to achieve. So, experiential marketing, guys, I want to reassure you that we're not going anywhere, and the things that we do matter. And do never get caught up in the channel. Always focus on the consumer. Always focus on the customer. Understanding them is the most important thing you're going to do. That formula guide, I know that's really small. I'll share this with BizBash. You can go online, download this as a PDF as well as an InDesign file so you can customize and create your own questions when you're going through this process. And I'm 3 minutes over, so that's it.